בוקר טוב לכולם, אנחנו נתחיל בעוד מספר דקות. אז בוקר טוב, ברוכים הבאים לוובינר שלנו בנוגע ל-Embedded Analytic ולפתרונות OEM. שמי אופיר אייזיק, אני סמנכ"ל המכירות בקליק ישראל. אנחנו נפתח את הסשן עם כמה שקפים שלי, מיד לאחר מכן נעבור לדמו, אני אשתדל שהמצגת תהיה מעניינת כמה שאפשר ומהירה, כדי להעביר אתכם כמה שיותר מהר לצד הטכני שלה. אני מבקש בנקודה הזאת עד כמה שאפשר לא לצלם ולא לשתף את התכנים שאנחנו מציגים כאן. בואו נרוץ. יש איזה סיפור שאני אוהב לספר בנוגע לעולם שלנו, על שני מטיילים שעושים טיול בג'ונגל, ומרחוק הם מזהים איזשהו נמר שמתחיל לרוץ לעברם. שתיהם כמובן מתחילים לרוץ, לברוח מהנמר, פתאום אחד מהצעירים עוצר ומוציא מהתיק גב שלו זוג נעלי התעמלות. שואל אותו החבר שלו, אתה באמת חושב שאתה תצליח להיות יותר מהיר מהנמר? אז הוא אומר לו, אני לא צריך להיות יותר מהיר מהנמר, אני רק צריך להיות יותר מהיר ממך. וזה בעצם הסיפור שלנו. אנחנו היום נמצאים בעידן שבו אנחנו צריכים איזשהו יתרון תחרותי, וביתרון התחרותי הזה, דאטה הוא השחקן העיקרי. היום אנחנו יודעים להגיד שמחקרים מראים שמדי שנתיים כמות המידע בעולם גודלת ב-90%, שזה נתון מאוד מאוד משמעותי, המידע גודל בצורה אקספוננציאלית. אנחנו יודעים שאנשים אוהבים מידע. יש מחקר של IDC שהתפרסם בשנה שעברה, שטוען שעד שנת 2025, אנחנו נעבור מ-300 פעולות שמבוססות על מידע שאנחנו עושים היום, שימו לב לזה, 4,784 פעולות מבוססות מידע. אנשים בהחלט אוהבים מידע, או יותר נכון אפשר להגיד שאנשים אוהבים לנתח מידע. אנחנו יודעים היום ש-90% מהחברות, מחברות התוכנה, משלבות איזשהו סוג של אנליטיקה ביישומים שלהם. רובם עושים את זה כדי להשיג איזשהו יתרון תחרותי, אנחנו רואים ש-53% מהם עושים את זה כדי להשיג איזשהו יתרון תחרותי, אבל כמובן זה לא הדבר העיקרי או היחידי. חלקם מנסים או מבקשים לשפר את חוויית המשתמש, וכמובן למנוע נטישה, וחלקם הנוסף מנסה להשיג איזשהו ערוץ הכנסה נוסף למגוון הפתרונות שלהם. כלומר, נושא ה-BI והאנליטיקס כחלק מהפתרונות שאתם מציגים ללקוחות שלכם, או אתם מספקים ללקוחות שלכם, הוא היום הופך להיות ערך מאוד מאוד גבוה בסל הפתרונות שאתם נותנים. כמעט אפשר להגיד שהוא פתרון נדרש בפתרונות. אבל כשאנחנו באים בעצם להטמיע או לממש איזשהו פתרון BI בתוך הפתרון שלנו, אנחנו צריכים לשאול את עצמנו שאלה, וזה בעצם המהות של הסשן היום, האם אנחנו נבנה את זה לבד, או אנחנו נקנה איזה פתרון, buy versus build. וכשאנחנו מנסים לקבל החלטה בעניין הזה, אנחנו רואים מול העיניים שלנו את הרצון לספק את חוויית המשתמש, וכמובן לאפשר גישה של המשתמשים שלנו, של משתמשי הקצה למידע שלנו, אבל אנחנו צריכים לקחת בחשבון גם אתגרים מאוד מאוד גדולים, שאנחנו בוודאי נידרש לטפל בהם ברגע שאנחנו נחליט לקנות את זה לבד. אתגרים כמו אתגרי אינטגרציה, אתגרי אבטחת מידע, כל נושא הבדיקות, תחזוקה, תמיכה, עולם מאוד מאוד עשיר של אתגרים שאנחנו צריכים לטפל בו. בשורה התחתונה אנחנו חיפשנו value, בסוף אנחנו מוצאים את עצמנו מתמודדים עם אתגר הוצאות מאוד מאוד גדול, וכמובן דחייה בזמן ההפקה או הזמן ההשקה של המוצר שלנו. ולכן המגמה היום היא באופן די מובהק על ידי ארגונים, היא לרכוש פתרון ולא לבנות אותו. כשאנחנו עושים שימוש היום, אנחנו פוגשים את זה מלקוחות שלנו, שהם עושים שימוש בקליק, הם מקבלים שימוש מינימלי בכתיבת קוד, הם למעשה מקבלים פתרון שהוא שלם והוא מוכן, ומאפשר לזרז את זמני המימוש. הפתרון הזה כמובן מטפל במגוון הרחב של הצרכים הארגוניים, או הצרכים נקרא לזה של הלקוחות, או הצרכי המימוש הניתוחיים של הלקוחות, ובסופו של דבר מצייד את החברות, או את השותפים העסקיים שלנו בכלים מאוד מאוד מפותחים, לאפשר את השילוב הזה בתוך הכלים שלהם. כלומר, הלקוחות מהצד השני נהנים מחוויה מאוד מאוד שקופה ויעילה ומהירה של פתרון BI מאוד מאוד בוגר. זה כמובן פוגש אותם גם ברכיבים הוויזואליים, אבל גם ביכולות התחקור המאוד מאוד מתקדמות, ומאפשר להם ליהנות מחוויה מאוד מאוד טובה ומהירה. אם נסתכל ונרד קצת יותר לעומק, אז היום אנחנו בעצם מספקים, או מה שבעצם אתם מקבלים כשאתם רוכשים פתרון של קליק, אתם מקבלים פתרון שהוא באמת מלא, פתרון מקצה לקצה שמטפל, אני אגיד ברוב, אם לא בכל התרחישים שאתם יכולים לחשוב עליהם היום, וכמובן שתדרשו להתמודד איתם ככל שתעמיקו את הפתרון, הרכיב האנליטי בתוך הפתרון שלכם. קליק הוא אחד הפתרונות היחידים היום שמספק מנוע ETL מאוד מאוד חזק, כמובן עם יכולות דאטה פרפריישן, אולי נתעכב על זה אחר כך קצת בדמו, מה שבעצם צמצם את הצורך בלייצר אינטגרציות מאוד מאוד מורכבות, ומאפשר גמישות מאוד מאוד גבוהה ביכולת לנתח את הנתונים בהמשך. פתרון של קליק היום מוכח כזה שמספק את הביצועים הטובים ביותר על נפחי מידע, ביג דאטה מאוד מאוד גדולים, אבל גם אל מול מקורות המידע, אני חושב, הרחב ביותר מבחינת המגוון שקיים מבין הפתרונות שניתן היום למצוא בשוק. זה נחשב היום הפתרון המתקדם ביותר מבחינת היכולת של לטפל בכל נושא הסקיוריטי, הבקרות, ההרשאות, כל הנושא הזה מטופל בצורה מאוד מאוד טובה, וכמובן שהנושא הזה מאוד מאוד חשוב כשאנחנו עושים פתרון שהוא embedded, פתרון שלנו, כי אנחנו רוצים במקום אחד שכל הלקוחות, כל אחד מהלקוחות יראה את המידע שלו, וכמובן לא יראה את המידע של הלקוחות האחרים. רכיב נוסף שקיים בתוך הפלטפורמה שלנו, או הדרך שלנו לממש, היא אינה מוגבלת בתשתית. כלומר, התשתית שלנו יכולה להיות כמובן מקומית, אם הפתרון שלכם מוטמע מקומי באתרי הלקוח, הוא יכול להיות פתרון היברידי, כלומר כזה שמכיל רכיבים מקומיים אל מול רכיבים ענניים, או הטמעה עננית מלאה, ועד רמת הסאס. אתם בוחרים את הדרך שבה אתם רוצים להטמיע את הפתרון שלכם, וקליק היא למעשה הוונדור היחידי היום, שבעצם מאפשר לכם מולטי קלאוד אמיתי. אחד החוזקות שאנחנו פוגשים הרבה מעבר לטכנולוגיה, שהרבה לקוחות מדברים עליו, הוא הנושא של מודלים עסקיים גמישים. אנחנו נותנים היום שירות לעשרות רבות של שותפים עסקיים בעולם ה-OEM, ולכל אחד מהם יש עולם, מודל עסקי נקרא לו, שהוא שונה ומאוד מאוד ייחודי, וקליק יודעת להתאים את עצמה למודלים העסקיים. מבחינה הזאת קליק מתאימה את עצמה לצרכים שלה, לשותפים העסקיים שלה, יותר מאשר מאלץ את השותפים להתאים את עצמם למודלים העסקיים של קליק. משהו שמהווה ערך מאוד מאוד גבוה. מבחינת ההטמעה פה בישראל, אני עוד שנייה קצת אציג את הפעילות שלנו פה בארץ, אבל חשוב לדעת שכשאתם בוחרים בקליק, אתם בעצם מקבלים את הפלטפורמה הרחבה ביותר בישראל, עם הכי הרבה ניסיון בישראל, והכיסוי הרחב ביותר הקיים. Okay. I understand now that we have some English speakers on board, so sorry for that. My deck so far being in Hebrew. I will switch to English now. So I'll now, sorry for that, now cover the last point on that slide, which is the Qlik Israel or choosing Qlik would provide you the most effective implementation in Israel today. As Qlik Israel have more than 1,400 accounts in Israel, some enterprise and some 100 OEM account here in Israel. So we have a very effective way to implement it, which means getting very fast implementation and in costly manner. So a few words about Qlik as a vendor. Qlik is very experienced company with more than 50,000 customers globally and above 1,000 OEM partners. Qlik considered to be leader by Gartner in its Magic Quadrant for 10 years in a row. I think he's the only vendor there that spent that time on that Magic Quadrant. And I'm happy to say today that Qlik is the largest BI vendor community. So we have more than 100,000 members in that community, active members in that community. So it is the openest, I think, platform out there. Few words about Qlik Israel. Qlik Israel has 17 years of experience with, as I say earlier, 1,400 customer and 100 OEM partners. I will share some example for those partners in a minute. We are happy to say that we have Hebrew Support Center here in Israel. I think we are the only vendor here in Israel that provides such support. And we consider to be the leading BI vendor in Israel, according to STKI. STKI, for those who are not familiar with, are considered to be kind of Gartner, Israeli Gartner, if I may. They are a consulting firm that provides some benchmark, and this is the slide as of a few weeks ago that positioned Qlik as the major vendor in Israel. But not just that, we have a lot of happy customer. For 3 years in a row, BDO conduct a survey, around 1,000 participants have to rank their BI among other technologies BI vendor, and they choose Qlik for 3 years in a row for good satisfaction and the stability of the system and the user experience and so forth and so on. So I said that we have a lot of OEM accounts. This is just just a few of them. Very happy one. I would like to share with you, if you may, again in Hebrew, unfortunately, but one of our success stories. So let's hear Seaside, Oded Moshe from Seaside.
אני עודד משה, אני סמנכ"ל מוצרים בסיסייד, אנחנו חברת תוכנה, קיימים כבר 17 שנה. המוצר הוא סרוויס דסק, הוא משרת בעצם את מחלקות IT ומחלקות הסרוויס בכלל בארגונים, והוא נותן שירות בין משתמש הקצה לבין נותן השירות, מתווך ביניהם, מנהל את כל הלייף סייקל של הקריאה. יש המון מידע שנאגר במערכות שלנו בזמן הטיפול בלקוחות. החלטנו על שיתוף פעולה כי הבנו שתחום ה-BI הוא לא התחום שלנו, ותחום האנליטיקות והדאטה, אז יצאנו החוצה לחפש, הסתכלנו במאג'יק קוורטר של גרטנר בתחום ה-BI, ראינו שם את המובילים, הסתכלנו על כמה, נכנסנו לשיתוף פעולה עם קליקסנס, עם המוצר החדש בזמנו שיצא. היו לנו כמה קריטריונים, גם ההתאמה העסקית, גם הנושא של הטכנולוגיה, גם הנושא של קלות השימוש וה-Zero Setup Time, כמו שאנחנו קוראים לו, וגם האלמנט של ה-OEM היה מאוד חשוב לנו. העבודה מול הצוות, צוות מאוד מקצועי, עזר לנו מאוד לכוון אותנו לנקודת התחלה מאוד טובה ומהירה. היה לנו הישגים מאוד מהירים מבחינת time to market, מהרגע שחתמנו על ההסכם ועד הרגע שעלינו לאיזשהו פיילוט, זה היה עניין של כמה שבועות בודדים. צוות שמכיר את המערכות, מכיר את הטכנולוגיות, וידע מאוד לעבוד עם הצוות שלנו, גם בדברים המאוד טכנולוגיים, כמו נושאים של סינגל סיין-און וטוקנים והתקנת שרתים. היה מעולה פשוט לעבוד עם הצוות הישראלי. אז הלקוחות שלנו בעצם יכולים עכשיו לראות את הנתונים שלהם בצורה מאוד מרוכזת, יכולים בעצם לנתח את הנתונים בכמה שניות, לנתח אותם על כמה בשנים האחרונות, כל המידע הזה זמין להם, וגם אנחנו כחברה בעצם קיבלנו איזשהו יתרון תחרותי מול המתחרים שלנו, כי בעצם כ-OEM יש לנו בעצם BI out of the box שמגיע עם המוצר שלנו ללקוחות שרוצים לצרוך את זה, ומבדל אותנו מול המתחרים.
So that's all from my side. As most of the deck that I had today been handled in Hebrew, so if some of you wish me to have the one-on-one session with them to elaborate on the thing that I just go over, so please leave a note in the Q&A, and I will be happy to take it offline. And now, without further ado, I would like to invite Przemek to take over, starting by introduce himself. Przemek?
Yes, hi, can you hear me?
Yes, we can.
All right, so hi everyone. My name is Przemek Zabludowski. I am Qlik's ISV and MSP Analytics Sales Manager for the emerging markets, which is basically a big territory. I won't get into that in details, but you can see the little parentheses here with the territory. Before I jump into a demo, which will take basically the majority of the rest of the webinar, I would like to do two things. First of all, I'd like to ask you guys to, if you have questions, just feel free to ask them in the Q&A panel. We will be answering them either as we go through the demo. I have some great colleagues here of mine that will be supporting me on that. And if we don't make it through in the demo, we will then obviously address them one by one. And also we will have a short Q&A in the end so we can take some online, basically live, if it's really like something that we're overwhelmed with those questions, which I hope for. And the second thing, my name. Now I know I have a very difficult name. This comes out to be Przemek. Well, it is an ancient Polish name. I'm Polish, so unfortunately my parents did that to me. I don't think they knew I was going to be kind of working all around the world, and people have this tendency to not being able to easily pronounce that many difficult letters next to each other. But anyway, for Hebrew speakers, for English only speakers, I'll cover later. But for Hebrew speakers, that's actually a pretty easy algorithm that I developed because I've been working here in the region for so long, and I've had the privilege to present to big audiences in Israel. So for Hebrew speakers, that's easy. So what you do is you take the Hebrew word for sun, which, as I was told, is shemesh, because I don't speak Hebrew, but I learned, right? So you take shemesh, and then you basically what you do is you take the last letter out, and you change it with K, so you end up with Shemek, and it's basically very close. If you say Shemek, if you add a P in front of it, you're spot on. But if you leave it as Shemek, it's good as well. For English speakers, already it's too difficult, so you can call me Bob. If you want, you can call me Bob. I don't mind. Now, okay. So once we have this out of the way, I will share my screen, guys, and let me take you through a typical process that we would have our customers and partners embark on when they want to build some embedded analytics. Where in order to get this done, first you need to create some analytical content. So you need to create something that is basically that allows you to then embed it, right? So that's exactly what we're going to do. I'm going to show you a very simplified example. Now it's very simplified. You can do it very complex, obviously, but in interest of time, what I'll do is I'll connect to my database here, SQL Server with just two tables. Now, obviously, this can be a huge database with hundreds of tables, if you wish. I'm going to load the data into Qlik Sense, which is our primary part of our Qlik platform for user-driven interactive analytics. Then what I'll do is I'll show you some capabilities around the analytics itself, because obviously, as Ofir mentioned, one of the things you do, why our partners and customers decide to embed analytics is to improve the overall user experience of their products or applications. So obviously, you want to make sure that it's something that people will like to use. And then in the final step, what I'll do is I will show you how you can embed it, either very kind of vanilla, so in a simplistic way, all the way to very complex, integration that you can then use to really kind of use with your CI/CD pipelines, with your deployment tools, you name it. So, but let's start from the basics. So what I'll do now is I will create this simple CRM, because the database is CRM. So I will have CRM data analysis here. And you have to excuse me if I turn my head once in a while. It's because I have two monitors, and sometimes I tend to look at the bigger one, which is over there, and the camera is here on my laptop. But I'll try to stick to looking at you guys. So once I create this analytical app, this is, for now, it's an empty shell, basically. Because the Qlik app, for those who are new and haven't heard about Qlik before, it's a combination of data, this script, and the visualizations. And that's where the first differentiator for Qlik, for all the vendors that we come across, is that we have our own we have own integrated script language. So you can do ET, well, without the L. So from the ETL process, you do ET, you do extract and transform right there directly in Qlik using the script. So here's a kind of a part of auto-generated script here. What I'll do is I like to create a connection to my data source. Now, Qlik comes in with a lot of bundled connectors. So here I have some database plus kind of a files plus some data, big data sources. Also, the product comes bundled with the web connectors that give you the connectivity to things like Facebook, so those popular web sources, Dropbox, and so forth and so on. But in my case, it's just gonna go and I'm gonna connect to my SQL Server here. Okay, so I'm gonna put some obviously information. Obviously, I need to be able to connect to it, so I need to have some credentials. So already here I have some security implied. Obviously, if I don't have the right to access the database, I will never be able to load the data. So it's the kind of also the security is very tight here, starting from the database layer. As we go further, I will explain what are the further levels of security that you can apply. So now that my connection is created, I will simply load the data into Qlik. Because what happens with Qlik is that Qlik doesn't query the data as users interact with it, or if I'm even in the process of creating the app. So what happens now is I have this browser that allows me to look at my data. I can, select some columns that I want to take in, some that I would not. I can filter the data. In my case, it's just going to be simple, kind of take the whole thing in. The script that's created for me. So what you see now is the script. The script is a combination of, the classic SQL and some proprietary syntax that we call Qlik script. That, gives me a bit more flexibility because I'm able to do stuff in memory, because that's the thing. Qlik will now load this data into the memory of my server, and going forward, I will only be working in memory of the Qlik Sense server. No more querying of the data. That gives me completely new capabilities that are unavailable for any query tool out there. So what I'll do next is, this is where also you have to kind of do stuff when you do analytics. I have to somehow, connect, blend mash, whatever it's called by others, the data, relate the data. Well, in Qlik, it's called association. So what we do is we associate the data. So once all the data is in memory, no matter how many sources I have, how many tables or bubbles in this case I have, I need to somehow relate the data. So what Qlik was doing was going through those tables, going through those, it's about 250,000 rows of data. I don't know whether you saw the counter going, but it went through the data and tried to figure out whether there's any similarity within that data itself. So if I now grab one of those bubbles, which is one of my tables, the sales data, and I kind of I get the visual cue telling me how related some of the data might be in that table. So actually it says there is some kind of similarity. I will actually have I have a color coding here. It's kind of orange, which is good enough. I mean, there's actually green, orange, and red. If I just grab it here, what happens is the relation gets created for me. It's kind of saying me that that the data in customer ID column and customer ID FK column in those two tables is pretty similar. And it makes sense because I might have customers that have not bought anything from me because sales data is order data. Obviously, if I don't want to do it like this, I can use some of the kind of a profiling intelligence provided by Qlik, and I can just apply it automatically here. So now what I'll do is I'll load the data again, already having in mind that I want my relations, associations to be respected. So going forward, these two tables or data from those two sources, if they were completely two different databases, is going to be associated, and I will be able to explore it freely. First of all, obviously, create analytics on top of it, but then explore it freely as we go. All right, so now, again, I have my data loaded into my app. So step one, check. Now I want to create some vizzes, some visualizations. Now I can do it either using kind of a drag and drop interface that I'm going to show you in a second, or I can use something we call Insights Advisor, which is Qlik's augmented intelligence technology. So what we're using here is we're using Cognitive Engine as it's branded by Qlik. This is this capability that kind of merges artificial intelligence with our associative engine to allow us to both help people build analytics as well as then use it. I'll start with the building part, obviously. So what I'll do here is I'll just let Qlik generate some insights for me. So what Qlik will do is we'll try to go into the data and we'll try to figure out what might be, and again, I haven't marked anything here. I haven't really said, I haven't really told Qlik what is a dimension, what is a metric. It tries to do it itself now, right? So I have some suggestions here. So I might be interested in seeing the sum of sales revenue. That's a nice KPI. I will actually add it to my sheet. Now this one here, what it does, it actually counts the number of countries that I have in my database. Well, this is good, but maybe not super good. What I'd like to actually be counting is I might be interested in seeing the number of sales orders, right? So if I do that, Qlik will say, well, you've made some change. Should I learn and kind of adjust next time as you do it, and others will do it, because this app gets built, others will be using it as well. Other developers will be building on top of it. So it will learn and try to really, adjust in the future. So this is taken into account. And it actually tells me here what it's learned. So it learned that the country is a dimension, and will respect it in the future. Also, this one here is a map. I can take a look at it. Shows me sales by country. Great, something I might like. So again, I will add this to my sheet. Now, what happens if I want to see something that's not here, right? So what I can just try doing is, I can ask a question. So I can type it here if I want. I can try typing and ask a question, but I can also try to use native Chrome, because all I'm doing, guys, this is also important. I'm just using the browser. Everything is going to be happening in the browser. There's no fat client. I'm just using my browser. So I can use some of the Chrome capabilities. So I'm using Chrome. I'm going to use the native Chrome kind of a microphone and capability. So what I'll do is just, I'll ask the questions. What I want to do is I'd like to get sales revenue by, to see what is the sales revenue by product category and product subcategory. So I can go ahead and ask the question now. What is sales revenue by product category and product subcategory? All right. So what it did is that it generated something based on that input. Now, obviously, I don't need to speak to it. I can just type it. If I just go back here and I would do just the typing, it tries to pick up what I'm trying to do. So if I start typing product, it will go through both the fields, but also the data to allow me to ask a specific question. So if I just type it here, I would get exactly the same results. And here I have my answer. That's actually what I want to have. I had a table showing me my categories, subcategories, and my revenue. And again, I'm just going to add it to my sheet. All right. So once I'm fine with those, with that kind of a initial creation, I can now go back to my sheet. So now Qlik under, while I was doing it, when I was adding those visualizations, it created a sheet. So now I can just, do some modification. And again, I won't go deep into everything, but I can, I could actually, like for this KPI, I could say, right, I don't want the label to say some sales revenue. I can just say revenue here, right? And maybe the number formatting, I'd like to have this in money, so it looks a little bit more digestible. So yeah, now I'll have my dollars here. I could, I could go to the map here, and the map, well, what I could do in the map, for example, the map has layers. So I can, let's say I could add a new layer here. We support multiple layers right there. So maybe I just want to add a chart here, some easy chart, maybe just add a new layer showing me, I don't know, sales by product category. So again, I will just edit here. And now I should be seeing a mini chart popping up on my countries as well, showing me additional information. I can change basically, other things as well. I mean, if I don't like this table, I'd rather see like a tree map here. I can just drag and drop it here and convert it. There you go. Now I'll have my tree map. Obviously, I can go deeper with colors and fonts. For that, we actually support theming. So if you want to change the theme here, you can create your own theme. There's a full-blown tutorial on that and on our website. Qlik comes with 3 pre-built themes. I'm just going to use one of them here to show you that everything basically will change according to the definitions. Also, we support right to left, so it might be something that is important for you in Hebrew, for Hebrew-speaking customers, where you basically can change this if you see fit. Now, obviously, I can also do the classic, if I want to, I can also do the classic drag and drop. So if I can also say create an object like, what if I want to see, sales by something that I call sales order method, I can just keep, I can drag it here and it will create whatever I want and so forth and so on. I can also create something using a broad library of visualizations. Really, we have a pretty broad library of visualizations. If you're still unhappy with it, there's something called the garden, where you can download. There's over 700 different projects, open source and also commercial. So if I want to get some Gauge, for example, I can just look for my Gauge here. Let me refresh the garden, because it looks like I lost my session here. So I can just look for some specific thing. Now the ability to do that, actually either create non-standard gauges, or let's say if I'm interested in adding some more predictive analytics to my app, like using Python, here are some ready-to-use extensions that you can take in, and those extensions are built using our APIs that I will cover as we go forth. Now, if I keep building this a little bit more, I will probably end up, if I spend another half an hour or so, I'll end up with an app that might be, a multi-tab, multi-sheet as well, and showing me those beautiful visualizations that allow my users to explore the data. And that would be already vanilla kind of a setup. So I could take it and already use it. I'll show you in a second. I could already embed it in a very vanilla way. Now, what is important in Qlik is what I've been doing so far, even in this first app, and I'll move back to it, If I now go to analysis mode, and if I select something here, let's say major appliances, what happens is that those visualizations are wired together. There's no need to wire anything. Here is that time to value. So if you were to use another product, you'll have to start figuring out how to wire this, what is wired, what is connected, nothing like this in Qlik. If you build it yourself, you'll have to do the same thing, because the users, they do expect that if I click, you know, China, I will be seeing data for China only. If I then go to major appliances, I will see major appliances, China, and so forth and so on. And it actually happens here in memory. I know it's fast. You know, you might not see it now, but actually it does refresh. It's very fast, very Google-like experience. And I can browse in, browse off. I can move back and forward. I can clear my selections. So it's very, very easy for users to navigate. And I'll show this now also on this app that was prepared here. So how do I explore the data now? Now the app is ready. Again, I have my, you know, very early alpha app. I will keep working on it if I want, but I can already have some users look at it, you know, and then I have my first sprint, and they can look at my app and give me feedback. So how can I explore the data? First of all, again, I can use the insights. Here I can ask very specific questions if I want, using the same method. So I'll try to ask for something very specific. I'll try to see what is the revenue for China for anything but my furniture and my home office products. So let's give it a try here. What is revenue in China without furniture and home office? So what happens here, Qlik is smart enough to know that what I've asked here is to give me the very specific data. It went into the country to find China, so it's not a dimension, it's data. And then what it did is it kind of figured out that without means I need to remove furniture and home office, and I will get my result. For those of you who are more you know, used to more visual way of getting to that information, of course you can do it. So I'll do China. I will now say furniture and home office. And then what I'll do is I'll say, Qlik, give me everything that is not furniture and home office. And you can see $37.61 million, exactly like it was when I asked the question. So what I can do now is I can really explore the data, because what happens here is when I make a selection here, let's say if I choose China again, this gets carried over my, all my sheets in my application. And what happens when a user explores the data? He gets hints on what is going on. So let me show you one thing here. So if I want to see why accessories, which is a high margin, low sales product, if I want to learn a bit more about it, if I keep going in here, you know, I kind of go deeper in my hierarchy. I get to the products that are here, very high margin, not a lot of sales. I can just focus on them here, right? And I can say, all right, I want to focus, understand a little bit more about those products. And again, here I will see the colors of Qlik, the powerful colors of Qlik. Qlik marks data with 4 colors. The green one is what I've been selecting so far. And this is easy. Everybody can do it. Every tool can do it. The second one, because, you know, when you go and drill in, all the tools will kind of show you where you are. The other one is white. It shows me related, associated data. So I know that those 4 products are sold in all those 4 sales methods. But what happens next is a really cool thing, because now we have 2 other colors that Qlik shows. The first one is the light gray. It shows me alternatives. Now, other products will not show you that. Other BI and homegrown BI will probably not show you, because what happens when you do BI, you only focus on things that are related. You do inner joins. Qlik does automatic outer join and is able to tell you, okay, you're looking at those 4, but there are other products within the category that you've chosen that you're not looking at. And then here comes the real cool thing. It's the excluded value. So if I now look at my salespeople related to those 4 products, I can see those in white that were selling the product and the ones in gray that have not sold the product. Now, this is real insight for the user. Now they can keep asking more questions. It's, all right, how important that is? Well, again, I can use something we call the Insights Advisor that will tell me a bit more about it. It will tell me, okay, that these products also are not bought by 69.2% of the customers, and these 69.2 customers only contribute to 41% of sales. So I actually have this information here. I can say, all right, these guys, they're not buying enough. I should boost it here. So I get a lot of insights that are not available in any other product. All right. So now basically we've already explored the options to build and analyze. Now it's time to embed. So how do I embed this into my, custom GUI or, user interface or whatever? The easiest thing is the vanilla the easiest and the fastest to do is the vanilla hub embedding. So you can take this full GUI and just iframe it either on the level of the whole hub or on the level of a sheet or object. How do I do that? Well, if I would like to embed that sheet, I have a little tool here that will show me what is the URL I need to use in my iframe that would allow me to embed this specific sheet or per se the object, if I want to use it as well, in my GUI. So here I can do some stuff. I can say, right, I'd like to use a specific theme. So maybe for this embedding, I'll use a different theme, or I'll use the breeze, or I'll use the classic. I can change some stuff like, would I allow the users to really interact with the data? I can actually disable interaction if I want. I can, apply a bookmark if I want to. Once I'm done here, I can copy this, or I can preview this in a new tab. And now here is my iframe that I can now use with my app. Very easy, but very fast, but it's still fully functional. So if I click around here, I will actually be seeing the same experience as I would have with Qlik. So this is connected to the engine, which is the brain of this whole operations that I will talk a little bit in a second. But it is fully interactive analytics. Now, if I go a little bit deeper, so if I go to a more complex, more let's say advanced, I would like to do divs. So if I would like to do divs, what I can do is I can go to my there's a special tool called DevHub that allows me to make it a bit easier in terms of adding, as we call mashups, because in the Qlik world, we call mashups. It's like a web page that allows me to mash multiple data from multiple applications, including Qlik. How I can build it quickly. So we have something called the Mashup Editor. It's again, the DevHub is available from the hub. So you just click like I did here on the DevHub link. And now what I can do is in the Mashup Editor, I can create a kind of quick, dirty mashup. So I will call it my test sales mashup. And I can use a template. Now we ship with a few templates, but it's really just to give you a hint what you can do, because you can now use your own template if you want. You can build your own templates. There's instructions how you can upload those templates. You can use your own GUI for that as well. We just make it simple for you to start. So what happens is that Mashup then gets created with a few files. There's some properties here. Here you have. This is your template, basically. You can use anything you want. This is an HTML simply. So in this case, the mashup is a bootstrap, kind of a bootstrap website with some placeholders here, the divs, right, that have the ID and have a class of placeholder that is then, QV placeholder, that is then used to quickly embed visualizations into that template. And then there's a JavaScript file. That's really the heart of it. That's where you're using the Qlik APIs to be able to embed those visualizations. And I know there's some code here, but the code here is actually using the code here is mostly for those buttons here. Like you can invoke using the JavaScript API operations like clear selections, go back and forward. What I was doing, the same I was doing in the client. Here, I will have just the code to embed is gonna pop up here in a second. So if I now select an app, if I go back to my preview, if I now select an app, my sales data, and if I just kind of drag and drop a few objects, and again, this is just a tool that makes it easy for you guys to start. And if I just drag and drop, what I will see in the JavaScript is that the code was kind of generated for me to get an idea what I need to do. So there is a open app API call on an object called Qlik, which I get in the required JS function as an argument. And then I have a very simple another call of get object, which says use this ID, which I showed you the IDs in the HTML file, and replace them with an object with Qlik object with that ID. How do you get to IDs? Well, you either use the drag and drop editor, or where we were using the dev hub here, it will actually show you the IDs of both the sheets and the objects, so you can kind of get this ID here if you want right there from the client. Very easy to get started. Once I get to work on it a little bit more, and again, I probably need another 15-20 minutes, I would end at something like this, a full-blown mashup already that is using both the Qlik charts and some non-standard things that I can take from other sources. So what I do here is, first of all, I'm taking out my username. I'm using single sign-on here. Again, single sign-on, very easy with Qlik. We enable you to use stuff like ticketing, session authentication, proxy. So you put Qlik after a proxy and you inject a header. It's just a header authentication, or SAML. Either of these is supported, and you can have like me now, when I open that page, obviously I'm using a simple Windows authentication here. But if I were using something else, I would do the same thing exactly. I would just write a piece of code which is called the authentication module that would authenticate for me, and I will be able to use it directly from your app. So everything that happens now in your app, all the stuff around security, all the things around user profile, everything gets carried over to Qlik. Again, Qlik doesn't have an inbuilt authentication. It always does authentication using external authentication providers, so we can do that. So if I would have some information around the user, like their group, that can be carried over and then used in Qlik to do security, where I can put row level security or stream security that I will talk to in a second. So what happens now is I have this, I have this dashboard here. I have as you can see here, I have some buttons that are non-standard Qlik buttons. They were created. They actually do some filtering. Here, I have a table build using standard HTML object. That's not a Qlik object. What I did here, what was done here actually, was that Qlik my code in that specific JavaScript file extracted some data from Qlik in here. There's a create list and create cube methods that allow me to go directly to the Qlik engine, get some data out, and then use it to build my table. And then finally, so again, and this is, again, if you don't, just to make sure, this is a Qlik experience here. There's, full-blown Qlik experience. Even those objects here that were built non-standard, they react. So they are ready to listen in for changes in data. So if I change something, they also will be refreshed automatically. And then finally, this object here is very interesting, because this object, margin % by country, it's not in my app. It was created on the fly. And this is the real power of Qlik. You can actually use the API, and this is just one call here, the visualization create method that allows me to create visualization out of any object data I want with any kind, like bar chart. Here I could, okay, if I were to be a little bit adventurous, I can try to say not bar chart, pie chart. So if I now save it, and if I now view it, I should see a nasty pie chart here showing up. There you go. So there's my pie chart. I can really play with it if I want. And if I want to make a nightmare here, a pie chart with more than 3 values, I can do that. Now, obviously, this is just an easy, a simple example. I'm gonna now, like, I want to now show you what you can do more. There is a website, demos.qlik.com, that has some good demos. If you go to tags here and choose mashup, you will be able to see different examples of nicely embedded content. One of them I like a lot is the CIO dashboard. that is here, it shows a nice example of what you can really do fancy with the embedding. Now, this is a real kind of a complicated, already nice mashup. It has, you know, all the cool stuff like sliding in visualizations. You have some non-standard, you know, outside of Qlik content. And obviously, this is all, you know, selectable, clickable, gives you the Qlik experience, but in a completely different shell. So you can really, really get it down to that kind of level of you know, embedding complexity. If you want, again, we will share a link after the WebEx. If you are interested in more, you just can also reach out to us, or you can explore the website yourself. Some good ideas out there to see what you can really do with the visual embedding. So I mentioned visual embedding. I also talk a little bit about the authentication, but the really good stuff is when you go deep into the engine. So you can really automate stuff. So imagine you could create everything automatically from your code. No need to drag and drop stuff. I mean, maybe you built something initially, you built the app, but then you would have more control in the code of your application. Well, this is possible with Qlik. I showed you some example of creating one visualization, but the real cool stuff is the engine API. So the engine is the brain of Qlik. This is where the whole associations happen. We are the ones, as Qlik, who open it to everyone with open APIs to get into engine and do whatever you want. So if I now, there's a tool in Dev Explorer called Engine API, in Dev Hub called Engine API Explorer, where I can actually do that. And I can actually try out what can be done with an engine. So let me connect to my first app, the CRM data analysis that we created in the beginning. So actually what happened, so this is just a shell, obviously, a tool that does the calls for me, but it shows me the calls that were done. So I actually connected to a WebSocket here, and I call and I threw, and the request was thrown like this, and the response was the list of applications that I have on the server that I have access to. Then I said, all right, connect to one of those. I opened the specific document, which in this case was identified by an ID that I received in the previous call, and then now I'm kind of working on the level of this application. So what I can do here, let me go back to my data analysis app. So if I let's say if I make some selections here, that will be needed in a second. So if I were to make some selections here, and I go back to my Dev Hub, sorry, to my Engine Explorer. So what I can do here is I have a list of methods that I can use, right? It gives me like an overview. So there are a lot of get methods. So for example, I could get a script here. So the script I created, I could programmatically get it out in my own code. So if I now execute it, and again, it shows me the log here, I will actually see my script. So you can imagine you can get it and you can modify it, and then you can set it. So there's a set method that allows to set the script automatically. Very powerful, because you can actually change the reloading scheme, what we were doing programmatically. Very useful when you have multi-tenancy. I'll show you this as the last thing, where you have multiple customers and you would like to use the same script, but change the ID of the user or the customer where you want to extract the data for dynamically in your provisioning little code. I can also interact with the application itself. So what I can do here is I can clear everything. So there's a clear all method. If I execute it, and if I now come back to my application, you can see that the selections were cleared. But I can do even more. I can, as I said, you can create stuff. There's a lot of set methods here, right? There's a lot of set methods that allow me to create stuff. So in the interest of time, we really don't have much time left, but I will create a connection. So I will quickly go through that here. And I will create a connection, and I will create a connection for you. Now, this requires a bit more stuff to be done. The parameters are here. Obviously, there's a documentation for that. So you can obviously go into the QlikSense help site, open to public. You can check what is needed. In my case, I need to provide a name, the type, and the connection string. Because what I'm going to do is I'm going to call it API created. And I'll put some random stuff so you don't tell me, so you're 100% sure that this was done now, not before the call. Then I need to add the path, which in my case is going to be C, because I want to create a folder connection, right? So if everything goes right, according to the documentation, I should get a identifier of the connection, right? Here it is. I received the identifier. Now let's go back to my application and let's look at the data load editor. Now it should contain the new connection. Sorry, the connection list in my data editor. I give it a second. There you go. And actually, I can browse it and I can use it. So imagine how powerful that is. You can actually programmatically change stuff in the apps without the use of the GUI. And the hint on that one, our own GUI, which is a web browser application, actually uses those APIs to do stuff in Qlik. So what you can do in here, you can do using the programmatic API that, by the way, we are ourselves using, and it's open to the public. And if you have developer tools in Chrome, you can actually sniff what is going on behind the scenes. All right, so the final thing I'm going to show you before I refer you to some of the further resources is another public-facing website called integration.qlik.com, where you can see what you can do if you run a huge multi-tenant environment with multiple customers and you just want to make it fully automatic. Well, this is the place for you. So what we'll do here, we'll do a quick run on a scenario where I need to provision, let's say, two new customers from my system that just signed up in my system, and they're signed up for analytics. This is going to be these two customers. All of them have specific users, obviously, that they are using. Let me clear that out. Sorry, let's try again, because it looks like the demo. Let's do it again. One more sec. Looks like there is a problem with the demo. Very interesting. So unfortunately, this happens sometimes. So looks like we're gonna have a good opportunity to go over this in a one-to-one call. Well, unfortunately, the site went down. What the demo shows, and you can try it yourself later on, but how the demo shows the setup where you have a template app, that you can use, or template apps. So you would usually build templates for applications like I showed you. And then what you would like to do for all your customers is you would like to take it and create copies of those apps and distribute them to specific, as we call them, streams. So these are streams which you can put security on. So one customer would actually access a specific stream, and another one would have a different stream, full separation of data. And then obviously once they do it, once the process is running, it can be done using the APIs. You take the template app, you create a copy, you change the script using the call, and then you dynamically create those apps, put them in the streams, and then your users can go and use those specific apps integrated either way using the web interface integration capabilities I showed you, and obviously SSO in your own interface, in your own application. If you want to learn more, there obviously, first of all, you can contact us. We're happy to give you a kind of a specific look at your specific case and look deeper and give you a more let's say personalized demo of how you can tackle a specific integration case. You can also look at our website. So there is a Qlik.dev website that gives you some nice tutorials on how you can start integrating using Qlik. Also, if you go to our help.qlik.com, there's a full-blown Qlik Sense for developers documentation that also has all the APIs, all the API definitions, you know, all the reference that I mentioned, has some tutorials and some examples that you can use to embark on that journey. So as we're really reaching the top of the hour now, I will now probably move to quick Q&A session right? Let me stop sharing my screen. All right, so do we have, guys, do we have some questions here? Okay. All right, I have one here. The question was around, the question is, let me check it on the other screen here. I didn't see the database I use on the list of connectors. How would I connect QlikSense to it? So, okay, the connectors that I showed you, obviously we have some predefined connectors to specify databases, but if you have a different database, you can always use either, if it's only ODBC or ODB compliant, you got the whether we have a native ODB or ODBC connector, so don't worry about it. I haven't heard a case where you are not able really to connect to a database. Most of them do provide an ODB or ODBC connector. Okay, let me check here. I got one more. My SaaS customers generate a lot of data, 50 to 100 million rows of data per customer per year. With over 200 customers, how would Qlik handle this? Well, Qlik can handle this because you can set up Qlik in a clustered environment. You can have multiple nodes. You basically can have up to 12 nodes that we test, that we support. You can, theoretically, there is no limitation on that. And if you separate the data very smartly, like I showed you, well, I was going to show you the real demo, but the server kind of went down on us. But if you're able to then separate the data and load data into separate apps for separate customers, and then distribute them around the nodes, because we can round robin, and you can really make it smart. You're able to have environments with multiple billions of rows of data smartly distributed around that. So don't worry. We have partners that support environments with 20,000 plus customers, right? Okay. One more, and I think we're done. We need an everyday update from original database. How is it done in Qlik? Well, the reload that I kind of run manually, you can basically schedule to run at any interval. It can be run basically every 15 minutes if you want. You can do incremental loads. So you can actually set Qlik to only load new data. There are some prerequisites for that, but a lot of partners do it. They just run incremental loads, a lot of customers. So you basically can reload stuff as often as you want, provided that you can get it into Qlik. And it can be a seamless experience for your users, by the way. You can basically have it done in a way that your users use the data, and then there's a reload in the background. I told you, you can have multiple servers, up to 12. You can have nodes, as we call them, that do reloads. And then you might have a server, or you might have a front-end servers that service data to your analytics to your customers, and the reloads can be seamless, and the data updates can be basically seamless as you wish, and the customers basically or users are using it as they go. Okay, I think we're really over the time limit now, right?
So thank you, Przemek, for that very elaborative demo. I sure that we have some offline session as well, as I saw some of the questions. Guys, I'm sorry that I did not pitch in English, my presentation in the first place. So if you like, I could have it one-on-one as needed. We will definitely share the deck and recording of that session, and we would be happy to answer and address your needs as needed. So please contact us, and
obviously, I owe you the ones that are interested in seeing downtime that I wasn't aware of. It's a SaaS demo, so you can use it yourself. So feel free to reach out to us. Happy to show you that in some convenient time, and we can discuss your case in a more kind of a one-to-one basis. Okay, thank you very much, ladies and gentlemen. Enjoy the rest of the day and the week.
Thank you very much. Thank you.
Thank you.
Take care.